mighty flame was lit. The radiant flag, the interlocking rings, friendship and glory, giving freely cooperation for peace, justice, human rights, and freedom in the skies, on earth, oceans, valleys, life is divine, our souls calling out. May the sacred Olympic flag always ripple high in the blue sky. Beijing Olympics 2008. Menacing flame is filling the air. 18 million skeletons make the prosperous road. Tears of blood in the house around you. Bring back human kindness, and crowds cannot replace the interlocking rings. Let human rights light on the earth. The Olympic purity cannot be stained with blood. End the persecution. Bring back human kindness, and crowds cannot replace the interlocking rings. Let human rights light on the earth. The Olympic purity cannot be stained with From Mount Olympus the mighty flame was lit. The radiant flag, the interlocking rings, friendship and glory, giving freely cooperation for peace, justice, human rights, and freedom in the skies, on earth, oceans, valleys, and life is divine, our souls calling out. May the sacred Olympic flag always ripple high.
So number 3, 5600K, is basically inside the day.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Global Human Rights Torch Relay. My name is Catherine Combs, and Lori Gorham and I are hosting this event today. We appreciate your attendance and support of this event. This is an international campaign making stops on 6 continents in over 150 cities and 37 countries to raise awareness about human rights violations occurring today in China. When the Chinese government was granted the 2008 Olympics in Beijing, it promised to improve its human rights violations, but instead they have worsened. This relay is to help bring awareness about those who have no voice. This relay is to ensure a dignified and honorable Olympic Games. People of the world are calling upon China to come into compliance with their agreement to end all atrocities within their borders. The torch has traveled all over the world before its arrival in Boston on March 29th for the USA kickoff. We are pleased and honored to have it here in Missoula. This event is sponsored by the Coalition to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong in China and is an international organization dedicated to investigating and ending the communist regime's 8-year-long persecution of Falun Gong practitioners. We are very honored to have the Mayor of Missoula to open and address our event today. Mayor John Engen, welcome.
Folks, by virtue of the size of our gathering today, the venue, I don't think I'll step up onto the stage. I don't know if I can make it onto the stage with this wind anyway, it's a little strong. I just wanted to briefly stop here and sort of empathize with the folks around the world who suffer under human rights violations every day. I can only imagine some of the suffering that goes on in China, but there are many other parts of the world, including our own United States, where folks aren't enjoying social justice and are suffering as well. But this event helps point to the fact that we're all in this together and that we ought not tolerate human rights violations anywhere. I think we're doing a good thing. It's nice to see you all today. And I hope the wind calms, the torch remains lighted, and the relay continues. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Mayor, for your words of encouragement. Our next speaker is Heather Meng. Heather came to the United States from China in 1987. She came to pursue her master's degree in library science. She became a practitioner of Falun Gong in 1996. She currently lives in Spokane and is a librarian at the Bing Crosby Library on the Gonzaga campus in Spokane. Heather, welcome. Please come up.
Thank you all. Today, I stand here representing 100 million Falun Gong practitioners, the majority of which are in China. I came to this country in 1987 to pursue my master's degree and have my second child, which are life goals that were very hard to accomplish back then. In 1989, the Tiananmen Square massacre shocked me and made me realize for the first time that the biggest advantage of living in the U.S. was my freedom, which was far more important than an academic career or having more children. My husband and I became American citizens on May 13, 1999. In 1996, I went back to China to find the best holistic practice to cure my ailing body. I learned about Falun Gong, which was practiced almost everywhere, and practitioners were in nearly every community park. I was lucky to have learned the way, and I have not been sick ever since. This miracle convinced me that there is a creator, and he created our original true self, and he can cleanse our systems if we have faith in him and follow his way. I returned from China, enjoyed my personal cultivation quietly in Spokane, and shared my story with friends and family. Life without sickness is so wonderful. In July 1999, my peaceful life was severely disrupted. The Chinese Communist regime banned Falun Gong and was slandering my teacher and the practice with fabricated lies. The Chinese channels on our satellite TV were broadcasting these poisonous lies every minute. My mother in China was so worried that I would never be able to go back to visit because of my belief. The people in China all know that being a political enemy of the CCP means being defamed, bankrupt, and ruined in every possible way by the party. We heard about more and more fellow practitioners being arrested, detained, and tortured to death. But not a single case of retaliation by Falun Gong practitioners or their families in the past 9 years. Being overseas, I took advantage of my freedom here as an open and dignified Falun Dafa practitioner. I tried to help expose the cruel persecution in China by telling people that we are peaceful citizens who follow the principles of truthfulness, compassion, forbearance. From 1999 to 2006, I continually clarified the truth about the persecution and asked all people of the world with a sense of justice to help stop the persecution. But little did I know, even more evil crimes were being committed in China by the CCP. They have been harvesting organs from living Falun Gong practitioners, selling the organs for profit, and then cremating their bodies to destroy the evidence. These facts were revealed in March 2006. Independent investigations have been conducted by a team of Canadian human rights lawyers, and reports have been published concluding that the organ harvesting is indeed taking place. There have been more than 3,000 confirmed deaths of practitioners during the past 9 years of persecution, with a huge amount of death still unexposed. Recently, the CCP has been using preparing for the Olympics as an excuse for intensifying persecution, massively arresting Falun Gong practitioners and torturing them with cruel means. The practitioners are imprisoned, then tortured to death within a short period of time. How can we allow the Olympics to coexist with such an inhuman persecution? Holding the Olympics in a country that persecutes its own people is totally contrary to the Olympic spirit. We are holding the human rights torch today, singing songs to let justice prevail. It is an honor to be part of the human rights torch relay. We will remember this historical moment, and the history will remember us, my fellow practitioners, victims of the CCP regime, and all people with justice. Let us hold the Olympic spirits in our hearts. Let us end the persecutions.
Thank you, Heather, for that heartfelt report. Heather has been a personal friend for over 8 years, and she is a very diligent practitioner who always tries to live by the principles of truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance. Our words of criticism are meant for the Chinese government, not its people, for whom we have great respect. As Olympian John Carlo said at a human rights torch relay event in San Francisco, the Chinese people deserve the Olympics. Their government does not. China does not equal the CCP. We share the hope with jailed human rights icons like Gao Xixing and Hu Jia that the Games somehow might bring the values of peace, dignity, and human rights to all people suffering at the hands of the Chinese regime, both inside and outside of the mainland. Jackie Anderson from Congressman Rehberg's office is here in Missoula, is now going to read a letter of support from the congressman. Jackie?
Thank you. I'm really honored to be here today, and on a personal note, I just want to share how blessed I feel to be able to attend events like these and be able to speak freely without worry about persecution or condemnation. I am proud to participate in the fight against human rights violations in the hope of bringing recognition to the problems others face daily who are not as lucky as we. Again, thank you for inviting me and to be here, and I have a message to share with you from the Congressman. Dear friends, it is a privilege to send greetings as you gather today to celebrate the Human Rights Torch Relay. It is an honor to have this global grassroots campaign make a stop in Missoula as it travels its way through North America. As this torch travels through 6 continents, 37 countries, and over 150 cities, we are reminded of the value of each individual human life. Increased respect for individual human rights is essential to establishing a lasting peace throughout the world. Countries that institutionally respect human rights are characteristically the most stable countries throughout the world. Like all of you in attendance here today, I abhor human rights violations and those who practice the systematic abuse of basic rights. As a member of Congress, I am solemnly dedicated to performing my oversight duties, ensuring the United States exercises its authority to the best of our ability to prevent human rights tragedies. The Human Rights Torch Relay has had great participation from groups and individuals, including government officials, religious groups, reporters, lawyers, authors, and all of those affected both inside and outside of China. I commend you all for your tireless efforts to improve human rights across the globe. God bless. Sincerely, Danny Rehberg.
Thank you, Jackie. We had a poem contest for school children, asking them to write a poem explaining human rights as you understand them. We are pleased to announce the winners of that contest. They are: the first prize for a $50 cash prize is Molly Stark Ragsdale. She's an 8th grader from Sussex School. Unfortunately, Molly is unable to make it today, but in her place, Cora Becker is. Oh, you are here. Oh. Would you please come up and read your poem to us?
Make it, all right. Shy Shy, Mozambique, 2005. The car is hot. The metal on my seatbelt singes the skin. I press my sunburnt nose against the soft glass window. Brown heads sprout from the ground, their naked skin resting against the sun. Broad smiles as they chase the rubber wheels. Mothers sweep the dirt we leave behind. A boy leans against the mud wall. His eyes squint jealously. A stick is stuck up his armpit. His head scabs. I move my eyes down his sweat-beaten shirt. Withered skin slaps on the feeble bone. One child out of 26,000 landmine victims. Women, children. He silently stares. We drive away.
The second prize goes to, it's a $30 cash prize to Ellie Laird. She's an 8th grader from Lolo Middle School. Is she here by any chance? You're here. Would you like to come up and read your poem? I've got it here.
You call us irrational and barbaric. You call us camel jockeys and towel heads. You call us terrorists and power seekers. But we're Americans just like you. You call us evil sheiks and heartless villains. But we can't deny our heritage. We live in this country just the same. We can't deny who we are or where we came from. But no one can. There is no true American. Everyone came from somewhere. But you still call us greasy merchants and mad dictators. We're portrayed as cruel, deceitful, hot-tempered fanatics. When you think of us, you think of deserts, camels, and Aladdin. You somehow believe that our hearts are filled with plots to destroy America. What makes you think you're more American than me? I am a person. My thoughts are not of belly dancers and oil, but of hope, peace, and an end to this assumption about who Arabs are and who they are not.
Our third prize, $20 cash prize, goes to Kelly Balfour, 8th grader from Lolo Middle School. Is Kelly here? No? Okay, all right. I will mail her an envelope to her then. We know that when pressure is put on China, China backs down. The Human Rights Torch Relay reached mainland China at the end of March. It's been seen in Beijing, Shanghai, Shandong, Hunan, Heilongjiang, Hebei, and Guizhou provinces. Due to safety concerns, most of the relay participants have used flyers, multiple media broadcasts, or emblematic yellow ribbons to spread the message. The people of China are seeking freedom and human rights. And also remember to look at the displays. We have free lotus flowers, and just you can just kind of wander and check out our booths over there. Our next speaker is Elizabeth Tomlinson. I'd like to introduce her. She's speaking on behalf of the persecution of Christians in China. Elizabeth?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. As you all know, we have a president of the United States who says that he claims the faith of Christianity as his own, and yet he is going to the Olympics anyway. It's also been claimed that the Olympics are not a political thing, that they should just be about sports. The reality is, we all know that politics comes from the word politic, the public space. Everything is political. And this would be the same as saying that the 1936 Olympics in Germany were not had nothing to do with politics, which is ridiculous. And there is definitely a direct correlation. As we stand here at this moment, right now, at this moment, there are thousands and thousands of people in communist China who are being tortured, persecuted, their organs are being harvested. Not only are those people suffering and being crushed, both in body and spirit, but those people who are caught in this evil regime, the systemic evil, are also suffering. The people who are actually having to do these acts are themselves frightened, and their families at risk. It is the systemic evil of a country's government that has learned to co-opt, as the Soviet Union never did, capitalism, the worst 19th century capitalism, practices we gave up, child labor, forced labor, way worse kinds of practices, but has co-opted that in order to co-opt our own, self-interest, going to sleep. So all of this, of course, is part of a huge system where everyone is suffering. All of our brothers and sisters are suffering, and it's the system that is the evil. So I'm going to address particularly what is happening with Christians. Since 1949, Christianity has been outlawed in communist China. They have set up something called Patriotic Association, which is a fake outer form of Protestantism and Catholicism, which, the form looks good, the form looks the same, the substance isn't there. These people have to, the pastors and priests of these Patriotic Association religions have to preach the party line, including forced abortions of women so that they can only have one baby, as you know, in communist China. So these kinds of practices they must preach. They're not Christian any more than the Reichschurch that Hitler tried to overtake the Lutheran Church by creating the Reichschurch was Christian. And you all probably know the story of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who carried on a seminary in the forest in order to preserve real Lutheranism. And of course was in on a plot to kill Hitler and was beheaded. So it's no different. The Reichschurch is the same as the Patriotic Association in Communist China. For the Roman Catholics, they cannot in any way be part of the worldwide international Catholic Church, or they are persecuted. At this moment, every bishop in Communist China is either in prison or under house arrest or under surveillance. Priests who have their loyalty to the universal church, outside of nationalism, outside of governments that will tell them what to do, are persecuted and imprisoned. Many of them we don't even know where they are in Communist China. This against the backdrop of these Olympics and the hedonistic capitalism that has nothing to do with freedom. The substance of spiritual dignity and the ultimate truth of mercy and charity, which is the basic message of Christianity, is not allowed. Now, the Protestant churches what they've done for underground churches is gone to house churches where they meet in houses. And when they're discovered, they are arrested and imprisoned. And I refer you to 2 websites if you want more information. Just enter in Google Voice of the Martyrs for the Protestants and Cardinal Kung, K-U-N-G, Foundation for the Catholics. And it will give you the entire history and what's going on moment by moment. You can also write letters to people on the Voices of the Martyrs website to give them hope and courage. As Christians, we must refuse to be silent. It is our faith, our very mission, to reach out and to protect and to challenge, to protect those who are more vulnerable and to challenge systemic evil that traps everyone. And I am especially, we were talking earlier about when you read about organ harvesting and what's happening to the assault on the Falun Gong practitioners. Of course, this is the other thing, is that this is a huge effort to do it against Falun Gong, but this has been going on for decades in the labor prison camps, which is like a gulag system. It's called Lagoy, and enter Lagoy or Harry Wu, W-U, in Google, and you'll come up with, he has a foundation in Washington, D.C., which is exposed. He has spent years, he was 19 years himself in the prison camps where they did organ harvesting, and they're prison camps. They're not prisons, they're prison camps, where no one expects to come out alive. If they do, it's a miracle. And he has a foundation that investigates and shows us, has for decades. And now they really have an aggressive assault on Falun Gong this way. But this is something that has gone on for everywhere. But as we were talking earlier, my immediately thought goes to, what are the people who are doing the harvesting? Those are human beings who have families who are terrified, and their spirits are being utterly crushed by what they are being forced to do. So I would like to end with this prayer for our brothers and sisters in China and here, all of our Chinese brothers and sisters, the Uyghur, Chinese, and the Tibetans, everyone persecuted by Communist China, the system, not the people. All merciful, loving, and tender God, please give us the courage and wisdom to be who we say we are, to refuse to collude with the horrific evil that is Communist China's systemic crushing of our brothers and sisters, including all those who are caught in its machinery, who fear for themselves and for their families, and who cannot help themselves from within, but need our support from without. Thank you for being with them in their suffering and with us as we refuse to collude with what crushes their bodies and spirits. Amen. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Randy Cox. Randy is a partner at the longtime Missoula firm Boone Carlberg and has practiced law in Montana for nearly 30 years. He is listed in Best Lawyers in America and is well known in Montana for his work as a trial lawyer. In addition, he has been appointed by the Montana Supreme Court as chair of the Montana Board of Bar Examiners and to membership on the advisory committee for the Rules of Civil and appellate procedure. Randy is speaking today because of his membership in the American Board of Trial Advocates, and he is the incoming president of that organization. Please welcome Randy Cox.
Good afternoon. As you just heard, my name is Randy Cox, and I practice law here in Missoula. I'm in an organization called the American Board of Trial Advocates, and I want to tell you first just a little bit about it, and then tell you how the American Board of Trial Advocates relates to the issue that is being dealt with here today. The American Board of Trial Advocates is an organization made up of lawyers who try cases, civil cases in courts. And it's a very small and limited organization. It's limited to 2% of the practicing lawyers in Montana. To be a member, you have to have tried at least 20 civil jury cases to verdict, and then have an affirmative vote of 75% of the membership to be admitted. And there are only about 60 of us in the state of Montana. The American Board of Trial Advocates is committed to preserving the right of jury trials in civil cases and in criminal cases. We regard jury trials as one of the fundamental things that protects our individual freedoms in this country. And the right to jury trial is protected by both the American Constitution and the Montana Constitution, and the right of jury trial is to be held inviolate. And we believe that that rule is critically important, and there is an awful lot of encroachment upon the right of jury trials, arbitrations, judge trials, those kinds of things. But the fact is that in any courtroom where there is a dispute, when you bring that dispute and put it in front of 12 people within the community, suddenly the playing field is level. And whether one of the participants is an individual, a business, a corporation of great influence or power or wealth, that doesn't matter anymore. I've represented both individuals and some of the largest corporations in Montana and indeed the United States. And every time I try one of those cases, I know that the other side is equal to me, and we're trying to convince 12 people, or 6 in federal court, out of our community that the side that we have is correct and right. So, that's a vote. What does a VOTA have to do with today's event? Well, I'll tell you, in the summer of 2007 at its national convention, a VOTA presented a major award, what is called its Courageous Advocacy Award, to Chinese human rights activist Gao Zhizheng. This award, which is presented annually, is given to a judge or advocate anywhere in the world who has demonstrated courage in the performance of duty and a strict adherence to the rule of law, even if that devotion is at great risk to personal freedom and safety. And we know that Gao was at great risk because he couldn't travel to San Diego to collect this award. He was under house arrest along with his family in Beijing. Indeed, he's not even been allowed to practice law since 2005, meaning that he can't help the people that he's been helping. He can't exercise his own ability to make a living. Now, Gao is one of a small number of lawyers in China who is willing to handle high-profile human rights cases involving rural land rights, labor activists, religious freedoms. He's represented thousands of Chinese citizens who were forcibly moved from their homes due to construction of a massive dam and reservoir. He's represented families in a massive mining explosion. And Gao appealed directly to the Chinese government to address the persecution of Falun Gong practitioners. He's openly challenged his own government and attempted to shine the light of uncensored information on the practices of that government. Now, in this country, that takes courage. In China, that really takes courage. It's these courageous actions that earned him the award from a VOTA. To those actions have also earned him house arrest and his loss of means to make a living. When announcing the award to Gao, National Voda President Louis R. Sifford stated, and I'll quote, "We are all hopeful that Gao's courage in standing up to the communist regime will bring about positive change for the Chinese people in the area of human rights. We hope that the constitutional rights we enjoy here in America, such as freedom of speech and religion, will spread throughout China and provide a better quality of life for all the people of that nation." Now, the political situation in China is indeed complex and difficult to understand. I'm here simply to recognize and salute anyone, in particular Lawyer Gao, who is willing to passionately, competently, and fearlessly stand up to protect rights of individuals, whether those are rights of speech, religion, or the all-important right to jury trial. Those rights must be preserved and protected here and everywhere else. Thank you.
We're now going to have a little change of pace. We have two students from the University of Montana Music School, Jeannie Hun and Tracy Kutzla, and they'll be performing some beautiful flute music. And I'll be back here in about 15 minutes, and we'll continue our presentations. Thank you. flute music was absolutely beautiful. Thank you again for coming. We got a great letter of support from Senator John Tester, and we'd like to have Linda Lightfoot from Missoula come up and read the letter. And I'd also like to thank Linda for all her support. She did a lot for us in arranging this event, and she's a really wonderful friend, and we thank her very much for her support.
Thank you, Catherine. It's really an honor to be here, and it's time in the world that we all stand up for what we know is for peace and honest and justice. The time has come. Okay. This is from Senator John Tester. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak as the Human Rights Torch Relay makes its way through Missoula. I apologize that I can't attend today, but I want to lend my support for this event and for the goal we all share of improving human rights throughout the world. Our founders were very clear when they created our nation, granting rights to freely assemble, to speak and publish without permission, and to worship as we choose. More than 200 years later, people all over the world still struggle to achieve these basic rights. The record in China is especially grim. The Chinese government's recent crackdown on protesters in Tibet is unacceptable. And that is why events like this are so important. Congratulations to the Human Rights Torch Relay for drawing attention to the plight of those who seek the freedom we enjoy. And thanks for stopping in Missoula. We still need to do much more to promote human rights in China and throughout the world. I appreciate the difference you are already making and send my best wishes for a successful event. Sincerely, John Tester, United States Senator.
Our next speaker is our own state representative, Frankie Wilmer. We want to thank Frankie. Yes, please do. We want to thank Frankie for coming and also for carrying our torch. Frankie received a PhD from the University of Maryland in 1990 and has been at Montana State University since 1991. She has published 2 books and is currently writing a textbook on international human rights. Frankie is a founding member of the Gallatin Human Rights Task Force. In 2005, Governor Brian Schweitzer appointed Frankie as chair of the Montana Human Rights Commission, and she was elected to a 2nd term. She was recently appointed to the Governor's Capital Financial Advisory Council. Let's welcome Frankie Wilmer.
Thank you all. And I'd also like to thank the students from Amnesty International and MSU who came with me today, Adrian and Shar. They have given great visibility to human rights on our campus, and it's really important work to do. We live in a shrinking world where borders are invisible to the most pressing problems we face. Problems that deprive human beings of basic needs, and problems that stem from the abuse of political power that deliberately inflicts pain, suffering, and even death on other human beings. The term crimes against humanity first came into use after the horrors of the Holocaust and World War II. As a legal concept, the war crimes trial at Nuremberg referred to the crimes against humanity because they're crimes that are so offensive to us that if you're not offended by them, your humanity is called into question. And that's where the concept comes from. Our humanity is offended by genocide, by ethnic cleansing, by extrajudicial and summary executions, by political imprisonment and religious persecution, by torture, by female genital mutilation, by rape, which has now been defined as a war crime, by the denial of self-determination, the deprivation of basic needs for clean water, food, and security. It's offended by the political intimidation of a free press, the suppression of politically inconvenient facts, and the silencing of criticism. In our shrinking world where information now travels tens of thousands of miles in seconds, and images in real time can be witnessed halfway around the planet, we can't escape the responsibility of witnessing and opposing atrocities, gross violations of human rights, and crimes against humanity. The Chinese government is aggressively pursuing the benefits of economic integration with the rest of the world. But such opportunities, I think, come with the responsibilities of global citizenship, the most fundamental of which is to respect human rights, including due process, fundamental freedoms within its own borders. And it's our responsibility as global citizens whose voices are not suppressed to speak out and hold the Chinese and other governments responsible and accountable for their appalling records of human rights violations. We may all remember what President Kennedy said and meant in 1962 when he stood at the Berlin Wall and said, "Ich bin ein Berliner." His German may have been flawed, but his thinking was not flawed. In South Africa, there's a concept called Ubuntu, which translates, "My humanity is realized through my relationship with others." This provided the basis for reconciliation in South Africa. It binds the oppressed and the oppressor together, the ability of each to see her humanity in the other. So, like President Kennedy, I would say, I'm an American, I'm Chinese, I'm a prisoner in Guantanamo Bay, I'm Falun Gong in China, I'm Jew in Europe, I'm Christian in China, I'm Baha'i in Iran, I'm Tibetan, I'm Darfurian, I'm Rwandan, I'm Hutu, I'm a Tutsi, I'm a woman in Eastern Congo, I'm Aung San Suu Kyi, and I'm a North Korean. We're global citizens in a shrinking world, and with that comes a moral responsibility to our fellow citizens to use the freedom we have to speak and make their suffering and their voices heard and their injustices revealed. If the message of the Olympics is that we are one humanity, and I believe that is the message, then we are here now and we must act on that message to call on the Chinese government to rise to its responsibilities of global citizenship, its membership in the international community, and stop all crimes against humanity and all human rights abuses. Thank you.
That concludes our speeches today. We thank you all for coming, and please don't forget to help yourself to lotus flowers and to visit the booth over there. Also, I'd like to have just a few moments of silence, just to hold righteous thoughts for those who are suffering. If we could just maybe bow our heads and say a silent little prayer for the people who are suffering today. Thank you again, and thank you for all those who came from far away. We so appreciate you coming and supporting us. Thanks.
From Mount Olympus the mighty flame was lit, the